What comes to your mind when you think about a point guard? If you're thinking of Magic Johnson's Showtime or Chris Paul's Lob City, you're living in a bygone era. Because in 2013, one man walked into Madison Square Garden and changed the game while simultaneously torching the Knicks for 54 points.
And New York back up by 4.
Well, you know, he makes a couple. You better look out. That guy is hot.
Curry for 3. Wow! Unbelievable! Making it rain in New York. 46.
A point guard made 11 threes in a single game? That was enough for Steph Curry to change the point guard position forever. The point guard position was once ruled by pass-first maestros who ran the offense. But Curry came and changed all that, and he did it with his personal weapon, shooting threes. By 2025, Curry had made 4,058 threes, 1,000 more than Ray Allen, who used to be the greatest shooter in the NBA. And that's how NBA guards went from Steve Nash's dimes to Curry's bombs, as the role went from floor general to floor destroyer. But how did it all happen? Back in the 1980s and 90s, the point guard was basically the NBA's version of a quarterback. They didn't look to score 30, they looked to get everyone else involved. This was also a time when guards were judged primarily on vision, not range. Now, you can't talk about the point guard position without talking about Magic Johnson, who spent his legendary career orchestrating the Lakers' Showtime era.
Took care of that.
That's a pretty good combination, Bird and Irving.
You think so? Durant comes back with 2.
In Los Angeles, he averaged 11.2 assists, making Kareem Abdul-Jabbar a 25-point juggernaut. Magic's no-look passes and fast-break wizardry showed us what a point guard at the peak of his powers looked like. Then came John Stockton with his 15,806 dimes, a record that still remains untouched. In Utah, he ran the pick and roll with Karl Malone like a symphony. His precise control of the game defined an era where point guards dominated the game without flash. These legends laid the blueprint for star point guards in the 2000s. Jason Kidd, for instance, was a special player who dragged the Nets to 2 finals without a single 20-point scorer next to him. And who can forget the dynamic duo of him and Vince Carter? It was crazy.
Your team mentally, you have to feed them every once in a while. Every once in a while, it has to be something.
Outside, Jones can't hit the 3. Rebound, Jefferson knocked it over to Kidd. Lead pass, Carter, look out!
Back door. Carter, and it's showtime.
Another example of this is Steve Nash, a 2-time MVP. In Phoenix, he averaged 8.5 assists while turning Amari Stoudemire into a 25-point machine. Nash's 7 seconds or less offense looked radical then, but who could have imagined what was coming in the future? Anyways, we also had Chris Paul, the point god, during this era. CP3 stacked 11,894 assists and controlled the tempo of the game like a maestro. Even Rajon Rondo was able to turn Boston's Big Three into champions with sneaky passes and fearless playoff play. But here's the twist. While these guys owned the role, they barely shot threes. Most of them averaged 2 or fewer attempts per game. Then came the 2004 hand-checking ban, and suddenly, guards could attack without being mauled on the perimeter. At that point, three-point attempts increased across the league. Now, the point guard didn't just have to dish anymore, they could destroy. And that's where Curry came and snatched the crown. Enter Steph Curry, the baby-faced assassin and greatest shooter in the history of the game. He single-handedly turned the point guard role into a scoring weapon that NBA defenses fear today. But what made him so good and different? It's his movement.
Had it, man. You believe that?
Yeah, he a big deal.
Believe that. Oh, out of the corner.
I mean, he almost looked like that on the release.
Steph Curry drained
By the Raptors, but they were 4 of 21. Warriors did a good job contesting a lot of those shots. Steph Curry hits a triple.
See, Curry runs a marathon every night, sprinting through screens, relocating, vanishing, then reappearing at the three-point line to kill you. And the way he's able to open up space for his teammates throughout the court with his movement is so incredible. Stephen A. nails it here.
Steph Curry's movement without the basketball, because he's such a lethal shooter, scares and petrifies his defenses so much that the impact is profound.
Because of what Steph can do with his steps, people don't even realize that he doesn't touch the ball that much. During his 2015 MVP, he had just a 28.9% usage rate. Just so you know, your average MVP has more usage than that. But that is just one piece of what makes Steph Curry so revolutionary. And while most point guards often end up being ball hogs like Russell Westbrook or Harden, Curry found a better way to cook teams. And of course, his shooting has impacted not just his game, but the team and the entire league. To put that in perspective, Curry averages 3.9 made threes per game. Jason Kidd averaged 1.2 assists more than Curry averaged threes. That's how much he flipped the script. And he's efficient at it too. Shooting 42.3% from deep is as incredible as it gets. And how has that influenced the NBA ever since? Well, everyone wants to be the greatest shooter now. In 2010, teams shot 18 threes a game, but today they shoot about 35. Even kids in AAU gyms are skipping layup lines to pull up from 30 feet. Curry didn't just change the math, he changed the culture. The point guard is no longer judged by assists. It's now all about range, versatility, and chaos. And more people are trying to replicate the blueprint. The NBA has changed so much, and it's why the old heads can't really wrap their heads around the modern NBA. Just 10 years ago, guards were known to deliver slick passes. Today, they're combo scorers, logo snipers, and secondary playmakers. Take Damian Lillard for instance. He's basically Curry's spiritual brother, dropping 3.3 threes per game while still dishing 7 assists. From Portland to Milwaukee, it's established that Dame time isn't about passing first. It's about pulling up from 35 feet and forcing defenses to panic. Then comes Trae Young, the flashy heir to the throne.
Of the Knicks season, as Young fires from way downtown and takes a bound.
Young averages 2.6 threes while mixing in 9.3 assists. Trae delivers his logo bombs with nutmegs and floaters. So you can think of him as Curry, but with less shooting accuracy and more of a playmaker's flair. And he's not alone. LaMelo Ball runs Charlotte like a highlight factory. With 3.2 threes and 7.4 assists per game, he blends long-range shooting with showtime creativity. Even Donovan Mitchell, who's more of a hybrid, drops 3.2 threes while still creating. And then again, we have De'Aaron Fox with his blazing speed and 2.3 threes per game. Or Jalen Brunson averaging 2.7 threes and 6.7 assists, who's turned the Knicks into playoff killers. But as great as these players are with their own shooting and flair, Tyrese Haliburton might be the purest Curry disciple. Shooting 40% from deep, averaging 2.8 threes and 8.7 assists. He plays with Curry's efficiency, but adds that old school vision. Curry gave guards permission to score first, pass second, and most, if not all of these guys are thriving in that mold. The reality of today's NBA is that almost every elite point guard today shoots 35% plus from deep, scores 20 plus a night, and moves off ball. Now, that's simply Curry's DNA, no matter how much players like Damian Lillard don't like the comparison. Simply put, we're no longer in the age of the pure pass-first point guard. But there is a flip side. With everyone chasing Curry's style, not all can replicate his efficiency. Some jack up deep threes without the percentages, leaving their teams in tough spots. However, the model works because Curry has proved it wins. And besides Golden State, the Boston Celtics have also proved that it works. But this change in what a point guard does, Is it temporary or a permanent shift? Steph Curry's 4,058 career threes have pushed the NBA into a new dimension where the three-ball rules everything. Like, even the bigs are now invested in shooting threes instead of living inside the paint. And Shaq, as the president of the Big Man Association, had to let us know how he feels about it.
So I want to ask Perk, is it the evolution or de-evolution? Like, I don't like big guys stepping out and shooting threes,
So is this change permanent? Yeah, it kinda is, because the NBA's hand-checking ban and freedom of movement rules favor perimeter scorers. Plus, the analytics also recommend that it's profitable to jack up threes rather than focus on the mid-range game. The big man bully era is over. Also, if you take a look at the future guys in the AAU gyms, it's filled with middle schoolers jacking up threes from half court. High school coaches also report three-point attempts have doubled since 2015 because every kid wants to be the next Steph. But is that even possible? Because Curry's records are nearly untouchable. His 402 threes in a single season, his 22 games with 10-plus threes, his 268 game streak with a three made. These records are like mountains, and it's hard to imagine anybody ever climbing them. Even Damian Lillard, the closest thing to him, trails by over 1,000 career threes. So, when you look at the point guard spot today, Haliburton bombing from 30, Trey nutmegging into pull-ups, kids firing from logos. It's all Curry's doing. The pass-first guard is gone. The combo guard is king in today's game. Stephen Curry didn't just change the way point guards play. He changed the way basketball is played. His 4,058 threes, 4 rings, and unanimous MVP rewrote the rulebook, making shooting, spacing, and versatility the core of today's game. Pass-first maestros like Nash or Rondo are relics. Today, a point guard is expected to score, shoot, and move off the ball to survive. From AAU gyms to NBA finals, Curry's fingerprints are everywhere. Kids don't dream of layups anymore. They dream of logo threes now. And this level of impact rivals even Jordan's. We're talking about a blueprint that has permanently shifted the sport. Do you think someone else can have such a level of impact on the game again? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video and want to know about another superstar bringing change to basketball, then watch how one man has redefined the center position forever next.